I'd like to welcome General Petraeus, Admiral Olson, General McNabb, and thank each of you for your leadership, your service, and I second the comments of our chairman about the fortune our good fortune to have you here at this time. Let me begin with Afghanistan and Pakistan. 4 months ago, the President outlined a new strategy and recommitted the United States to defeating al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Based on recommendations from his senior leadership, including you gentlemen, he authorized the deployment of 30,000 additional U.S. forces. A portion of those forces have arrived and others are preparing to deploy over the coming months. Like most Republicans, I support the President's decision to surge in Afghanistan. I believe that with additional forces, combined with giving General McChrystal the time, space, and resources he needs, we can and will win this conflict. We must defeat al-Qaeda and the Taliban. This means taking all necessary steps to ensure al-Qaeda does not have a sanctuary in Afghanistan or Pakistan. General Petraeus, as you have stated publicly, Operation Mushtarak is just the initial operation of what will be a 12 to 18-month campaign. I believe that we have most of the inputs right in terms of the leadership, organization, and strategy for Afghanistan. I'm not sure we have the level of resources exactly right yet. I support the additional 30,000 U.S. forces and the civilian surge, but I question if it's enough and if the commanders on the ground have the flexibility to assess and ask for more, whether it be additional combat troops or certain enablers such as intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, medical evacuation, and force protection capabilities. These enablers were already under-resourced prior to the surge. Today, I hope you will address this issue head-on and convince me that our commanders are not capped at 30,000. Moving west in the CENTCOM AOR, I want to briefly comment on Iraq. While we continue to await the results of the March 7th national elections, one thing is clear. The new Iraqi government may not form until roughly the same time that the U.S. combat forces exit Iraq. This certainly was not the original plan. The seating of the government was to take place prior to substantial drawdown of our forces. Thus, I remain concerned that the security situation in Iraq is fragile and fear that mixing two drivers of instability, the President's redeployment timeline and the seating of the new Iraqi government, could pose a risk to our troops and their mission. Two other challenges in the CENTCOM AOR that have come into focus of late are Yemen and Iran. While the Christmas Day bomber revealed to the American public the threat posed by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, CENTCOM has been focused on Yemen for quite some time. My formula for Yemen is simple. The U.S. should be in the business of helping Yemen secure its territory and fight ACAP. It should not be in the business of asking Yemen to take on more security challenges by taking into their country Gitmo detainees. Finally, for the CENTCOM AOR, a word on Iran. While there may be disagreement as to whether Tehran seeks a nuclear weapon, it seems indisputable that they're on the cusp of obtaining the capability to build one. This should be a red line. We hear a lot about diplomatic engagement and economic sanctions, yet Tehran's behavior remains unchanged. It seems to me that Tehran poses a military threat that requires military planning. I'd like our witnesses to comment on how the military is positioning itself to deal with the range of challenges posed by Iran. Let me say a few words on SOCOM. SOCOM has been heavily engaged worldwide, but especially in Iraq and Afghanistan. Admiral Olson, your forces will remain engaged long after the conventional forces draw down in those countries, making effective training, resourcing, and support for SOCOM all the more critical. I'm very concerned about how SOCOM, a command that often must rely on critical support and enablers from outside the command, will sustain its operations in an effective manner when the conventional footprint withers. Let me conclude by addressing TRANSCOM. General McNabb, I would like to congratulate TRANSCOM for their miraculous job in responding to the earthquake in Haiti. There's only so much we can plan for in this unpredictable world, and your organization has displayed an incredible amount of flexibility and responsiveness. Thank you for all that you've done. Mr. Chairman, I ask that my entire statement be included for the record where I address other issues facing combatant commands testifying today. Once again, I thank you all for being here, and I look forward to your testimonies. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.